This is High Shalom, and obviously I'm in a different place than where I've been. So it's been probably since November. Um, my mom's spouse passed away. So I came out to visit her, to be with her during that time. And it's now February, like I think the 23rd or so. Anyways, a lot of things have transpired since then. After it was November 6th when my mom called me to come. Um, her spouse had just died that day. And when I left, all the fires were breaking out in the area that I was in. Luckily, none of my things got burned, so that was good. But after, when was it? January? I got a text to say, we want you to be off of the property if you don't want to pay us back for the Edison bill that you defaulted on. And I was like, how was I defaulting when I was paying full price for over 7 years? And then after I found out I was actually paying for my neighbor's electricity for all those years, I started to do negotiable instruments with Edison, and they weren't receiving them or putting them for my credits. So I was told, if you don't pay us back and pay half of the electricity bill, which I go, wait a minute, what about this half thing? I had been paying full price. Nobody's ever said anything about half. I've been paying full price the whole entire time. They said, well, the conditions are that you have to pay us back for the deposit that we had to put down. And they wanted to charge me $200 on top of my rent. That would have been times 12, 2,400. Well, the deposit was only 2,000. So they were going to be making $400 off of me. And then not even say anything about me paying full price for all those 7 years that I was there. So now we're going to have to come to some terms here. And so far, the terms don't look good. So I'm going to have to start filing things with the fraud department of the county. Anyways, I got to do that today because now they don't do it electronically. So I will be having to download paperwork. And I'm going to try to encapsulate the whole thing. How did I end up being there? How did I lose my house in the first place? By going to a church that was false, teaching falsely, telling me God said you're supposed to do this. And when I did do those things, uh, they caused me to lose my home, my beautiful home, which is now valued about 900,000. And I want to be made whole. So anyways, I'm just here temporarily to be doing paperwork and stuff. And luckily I have my dog with me, so that's working out karma. And I got my little dolly over there, William. My mom gave that to me years ago. But I wanted to get back on reading because I was really touched by a new person in one of the study groups that I'm in on Facebook Messenger. Hi, Jackie. I'm thinking about you, and I know the situations that you're going through. I've been there where you don't really have a place to lay your head. I mean, temporarily I'm okay right now, but I'm just saying that I've been there when you're so overwhelmed with so much information and so many things have transgressed upon you and trespassed against you. I get that. So I was just looking on my computer, because I was going to download those forms. But let me see if I can find something to read and we'll share. And I'll try to get back on the bandwagon here. So let me start with this. This is Public Law 90-321, May 29th, 1968. That's 3 years after I was born. And this year, next month, I'm going to be 60. So I am going to continue to do what I started out this channel to do, is to read as much as I possibly can. And while I'm documenting my own life or the things that I'm learning, I'd like to share some important information for all of us so that we can all learn how to be able to overcome. So I'm going to look for this Command Plus button. It's been a little while since I've been on here, but let's go ahead and see if I can get back on the bandwagon here. Look up there, how interesting. This act and the amendments made by this act shall be the first day of the first pay period. What? Somebody getting paid around here? What's this all about? That stuck out to me. Huh, interesting. The effective date of the amendment made by Section 6 of this act shall be the date of the enactment of this act. This act may be cited as the District of Columbia Police and Firemen Salary Act amendments. Oh, okay. So this is not what I'm going to be reading. I'm probably going to start down and through here. It looks like it was on my computer, and I'm feeling a little discombobulated after my long walk and my short breakfast here, and just getting used to being back on again. So let me see. You know how sometimes, there's like a fog, when you get like trauma fog or something, you've been through all of the crazy stuff and you try to put out fires left and right, and then, your brain just isn't firing properly. Well, I feel a little bit dysregulated right now, but I'm going to go ahead and press through this because I'm thinking about that girl, Jackie. She was saying that she was very overwhelmed, and I understand that. I totally get that. But we do, even though we're in the cocoon process, we might feel paralyzed or something by all the information overload. If we just do a little movement, just a little stretch, a little bit movement, we're going to get a little bit more resilience. And eventually we'll be able to break out of that cocoon and our wings will be able to spread and fly. So let me start here with Title 1, Consumer Credit Cost Disclosure. There's the general provisions, credit transactions, credit advertising. So it looks like there's some pages to read here. Chapter 1, General Provisions. Let me look. Oh, okay. So there's the short title, which is what we're going to read first. The findings and declaration of purpose, definitions and rules of construction, exempted transactions, regulations, determination of finance charge, determination of annual percentage rate, administrative enforcement. Hey, that sounds good. Views of other agencies, advisory committee, effect on other laws, criminal liability for willful and knowing violation. Ooh. I want to read that part. Page 112. Penalties inapplicable to governmental agencies and reports by board and attorney general. All right, so let's look at the short title right here. 101. This title may be cited as the Truth in Lending Act. Oh, this is good. This is real good, you guys. We want to know the truth in lending. So let's find out the findings and declaration of purpose. So this has got to do with public law, as we can see up and through here. Wait, where is it? See that public law? It's got to do with Consumer Credit Protection Act and Truth in Lending and Congress. So it says the Congress finds that economic stabilization would be enhanced and the competition among the various financial institutions and other firms engaged in the extension of consumer credit would be strengthened by the informed use of credit. You think that our economy would be strengthened if you were informed on the use of credit? That's what Congress says, that they find that the economic stabilization would be enhanced and the competition among the various financial institutions and other firms engaged in the extension of consumer credit, that they would be strengthened by the informed use of credit. So the informed use of credit results from an awareness of the cost thereof by consumers. Hey, I think that we might be in that category of consumers, right? So, it is the purpose of this title to assure a meaningful disclosure of credit terms so that the consumer will be able to compare more readily the various credit terms available to him and avoid the uninformed use of credit. So, command, I'm going to lower this so I can see if I can somehow go over to the next page. Okay, let's go over here on this side. All right, I'm going to add, let's go up here. Trying to make it big so everybody can see it. It says 103, definitions. This is really important. We want to know what the definitions mean and rules of construction. So A, the definitions and rules of construction set forth in this section are applicable for the purposes of this title. The term board refers to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Interesting. The term organization means a corporation, government, or governmental subdivision or agency, trust, estate, partnership, cooperative, or association. And look at this one. The term person means a natural person or an organization. That's like a double thing. The term credit means the right granted by a creditor to a debtor to defer payment of debt or to incur debt and defer its payment. So to put it off, defer is to just put it off to another time, later, like 30 days later, or 90 or 60. The term creditor refers only to creditors who regularly extend. Do we often extend our Social Security number to these corporations? So if we're the ones that are extending our Social Security number, it seems like it could be us who are regularly extending or arranging for the extension of credit for which the payment of a finance charge is required. So, right there. That looks like when we go to a place and we extend our credit card number, Social Security number to them, then they are extending, it's not their credit, it's ours, because they don't use their credits, they're using ours. But they turn it around right here and extend credit to us for which the payment of a finance charge is required. That's how they are doing it. Whether in connection with loans, and well, we know in Title 12, banks and banking, that banks borrow. That's their first duty, is to borrow. So let me see, sales of property or services or otherwise. The provision of this title apply to any such creditor irrespective of his or its status as a natural person or any type of organization. So it kind of said on there about natural person and any type of organization. Just saying. G, the term credit sale refers to any sale with respect to which credit is extended or arranged by the seller. The term includes any contract in the form of a bailment or lease. If the bailee or lessee contracts to pay as compensation for use a sum substantially equivalent to or in excess of the aggregate value of the property and services involved, and it is agreed that the bailee or lessee will become, or for no other or nominal consideration, has the option to become the owner of the property upon full compliance with his obligations under the contract. That's kind of interesting. Did you guys get all that? When it's talking about up here, a credit sale, it refers to any sale with respect to which credit is extended or arranged by the seller. The term includes any contract in the form of a bailment or lease if the bailee or lessee contracts to pay as compensation for use a sum substantially equivalent to or in excess of the aggregate value of the property and services involved. And it is agreed that the bailee or lessee will become, or for no other or a nominal consideration, has the option to become the owner of the property upon full compliance with his obligations under the contract. So to me, it looks like if we're not the lessor, we're not the one that's doing the leasing, right? Would we be the lessee or bailee versus the bailor or the lessor? It says that if we, gave a nominal consideration, that we have an option to become the owner of the property upon full compliance with the obligations under that contract. So let's read more. H, the adjective consumer, used with reference to a credit transaction, characterizes the transaction as one in which the party to whom credit is offered or extended is a natural person. Yeah, they want to deal with a natural person at the car dealership. They don't want to deal with another business. They want to deal with a natural person. But, they still will ask you for the Social Security number, which shows me that they have somehow asked for the organization and not the natural person. And the money, property, or services which are the subject of the transaction are primarily for personal, family, household, or agricultural purposes. Hey, you want to buy a car, or do you want to get a house, or you want to get a tractor? You want to use that for, your personal stuff? Yeah, I do. Not for business. I'm going to use it for my personal stuff. So now let's look at I. It says the term open-end credit plan. What? What's this? What's this open-end credit plan all about? Refers to a plan prescribing the terms of credit transactions which may be made thereunder from time to time and under the terms of which a finance charge may be computed on the outstanding unpaid balance from time to time thereunder. The term open-ended credit plan. It refers to a plan prescribing the terms of credit transactions which may be made thereunder from time to time and under the terms of which a finance charge may be computed on the outstanding unpaid balance from time to time thereunder. Okay, I can see that. I mean, like your cell phone bill from this part of the month to that part of the month. And if you don't pay on time, we might add a little fee, a late fee, or a reconnect fee. Or this could be like a credit card where you might have something like American Express or something. And, there's no finance charge for 30 days. But if you go over that time, then it's going to go default to 29% or something like that. So J, the term state refers to any state. The Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, the District of Columbia, that's Washington, D.C., and any territory or possession of the United States. This could possibly be a little tricky. It says the term state refers to any state. What are you talking about? Are you talking about any state in the Union of States? Or are you talking about a state of being? Or is it talking about Washington, D.C.? Because what are these rules for? These are by Congress, right? And Congress makes legislation for Washington, D.C., 10 square miles. I have a feeling that this is only for Washington, D.C. It says the term state refers to any state, but this is all done by Congress, and Congress makes legislation for everything within the well, we know that Washington, D.C. is not a state, right? Right. So I need to know what are we talking about, state? Are we talking about maybe possibly, and this is just my conjecture and my opinion. I'm questioning this for real. Are these states like the state of Israel state that are made in Washington, D.C. state? That's what I'm thinking. I mean, you know, when you do your paperwork, a little Jackie paper, and you incorporate a state or you create a state, like state of Israel in Washington, D.C. The term state refers to any state. Are we talking about like paperwork states and not the land state? I mean, look at the way it's spelled. It's spelled properly. So that you're thinking it's like California, Ohio, or whatever, Iowa. You're thinking it says that, like that's what that means. But could it possibly be meaning the all cap state? Because, you know, when you look at a lot of your documents, like a title, for instance, it's an all capital state of California or state of blah. So I'm just wondering if maybe this J term, state, even though it's spelled properly, I'm just wondering if possibly it could be meaning the de facto, the false all caps state. I mean, because if it was in all caps, then that would make me think that. But I'm just saying, I'm just exploring this here, just wondering. Now, it says the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, the District of Columbia, and any territory or possession of the United States. Well, I remember seeing this one video years ago on freedom from law or freedom in law or something like that. And that guy, he looked up, I think it was USC code 26, which is the IRS. And he looked at the definitions in the section 7701. And when it said United States, it actually meant District of Columbia. So this is why I am suspicious about this one. I'm pretty sure that this is all about District of Columbia. Because if this whole thing was made by Congress, and Congress is the only one that control commerce in where? In the District of Columbia, in the 10 square miles, then I'm pretty sure that this all right here has got to do with only the District of Columbia and any territory or possession of the District of Columbia, and not what we think is the, United States of America, meaning all those 50 some odd states. Just saying. Let me move on here. Okay, any reference to any requirement imposed under this title or any provision thereof includes reference to the regulations of the board. Oh, the board. You know the board? That's the Board of Governors up there. Look at that. Look at that. See the board? How it refers to the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Federal Reserve. Who's that? I'm just saying. The Federal Reserve System, that's like what, private something? I'm just saying. They're the ones that print out the money, and I don't really think that's government, to tell you the truth. Okay, anyways, let's see. Any reference to any requirement imposed under this title or any provision thereof includes reference to the regulations of the board under this title or the provision thereof in question. The disclosure of an amount or percentage which is greater than the amount or percentage required to be disclosed under this title does not in itself constitute a violation of this title. Oh, wait, let me see what that says. So the disclosure of an amount, it's going to be 21%, okay? Maybe 28. How about 29.99? So disclosure of an amount or percentage which is greater than the amount or percentage required to be disclosed under this title does not in itself constitute a violation of this title. Okay, so price gouging and stuff doesn't constitute a violation of this title. Is that what you're saying? 104, exempted transactions. This title does not apply to the following: credit transactions involving extension of credit for business or commercial purposes. Aha. Or to government or governmental agencies or instrumentalities or to organizations. Wait 1 second. I just wanted to show you up here in D. It says the term person means a natural person or an organization. But down here, it says this title does not apply to the following: credit transactions involving extensions of credit for business or commercial purposes, or to government or governmental agencies or instrumentalities, or to organizations. So maybe that would be like a trust. Is that why when I went to go get a car and I said I would like to use my trust? Oh no, we only deal with natural persons or an organization. Give me your social security number. I'm just saying. 2, transactions in securities. Wait a minute. This says that this title right here, up there, the truth in lending thing, that it doesn't apply to transactions in securities. What? 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 Wait, let me keep reading. Or commodities accounts by a broker-dealer registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. What? Because I'm just wondering here on this one. Are they somehow saying that this truth in lending, that this title doesn't apply to transactions in securities or commodity accounts by a broker-dealer registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission? Because like Edison, you know, the electric company, they're registered with the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. But this truth in lending, this particular title doesn't apply to that? What? Let me keep reading. 3, credit transactions other than real property transactions. Wait a minute. Is that house that you bought called real estate? Or is it real property? Most of the time, I don't think it's real property. What's real property? Is real property land? Does that mean just land with no structure built on it? Because they're saying that this title of the TILA, Truth in Lending, does not apply to the following credit transactions other than real property. Okay, that's land. In which the total amount to be financed exceeds 25,000. Okay, so then it's saying that truth in lending does not apply to credit transactions in which the total amount to be financed exceeds 25,000? Is this why when you go to the car dealership, you ask them, do you participate in truth in lending? And they probably go, yeah, we do. We do. But they really don't, because look at right here on number 3. It says this title does not apply to the following credit transactions in which the total amount to be financed exceeds 25,000. Other than real property transactions, though, like land. Just saying. 4, transactions under public. Oh my goodness. Wait a second here. Oh my goodness. Transactions under public utility tariffs. If the board determines that a state regulatory body regulates the charges for the public utility services involved, the charges for delayed payment, and any discount allowed for early payment. Okay, this right here is what I'm talking about, because this right here, this is about, I'm talking about electricity here. Or even your phone, your cell phone, or even television, those public utility tariffs. This says it right here, something about, we know what we're talking about here, this whole thing right here. We're talking about TILA, truth in lending stuff. It says that this title does not apply to the following transactions under public utility tariffs. Somebody look up the word tariff. Does that mean a tax? Or does that just mean a charge? If the board determines that a state regulatory body regulates the charges for the public utility services involved, the charges for delayed payment, and any discount allowed for early payment. It says it's exempted. That's what it says right here, exempted transactions. Yo, we better make sure that this is right. Oh, I think I went too far. Okay. Okay, here we go. Well, let's just see. Administrative enforcement. I have to move my little head over here. Administrative enforcement. Compliance with the requirements imposed under this title shall be enforced under Section 8, hello, of the Federal Deposit Insurance Act, FDIC. Ooh, okay. This is administrative enforcement. So compliance with the requirements imposed under this title of the TILA, Truth in Lending Act, shall be enforced under Section 8 of the FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Act, in the case of national banks, by the comptroller of the currency. Member banks of the Federal Reserve System, other than national banks, by the board. C. Banks insured by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, other than members of the Federal Reserve System, by the Board of Directors of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Section 5D of the Homeowners Loan Act of 1933. Section 407 of the National Housing Act, and Section 6I and 17 of the Federal Home Loan Bank Act by the Federal Home Loan Bank Board, acting directly or through the Federal Savings and Loan Insurance Corporation. In the case of any institution subject to any of those provisions. 3. And here's some really interesting USC codes here. 12 USC 1464, 12 USC 1818, 12 USC 1426 and 1437, and 1751. There's 80 Statute 1028 and 1036. There's even a 72 Statute 731, 49, 1301. You can write these down as I speak them out. 42 Statute 159 and 7 USC 181. 38 Statute 717 and 15 USC 58. Just in case I missed it, 47 Statute 727 and 69 Statute 640, all right here on this column. So I'm going to assume that these are notes right next to what it's saying. But 3, the Federal Credit Union Act by the Director of the Bureau of Federal Credit Unions with respect to any federal credit union. So did you guys hear that? The Federal Credit Union Act. So credit unions are separate than the banks, okay? And then there's the Director of the Bureau of Federal Credit Unions with respect to any federal credit union. So maybe the trustee is with the Director of the Bureau of the Federal Credit Union, if you belong to a credit union. 4, the acts to regulate commerce by the Interstate Commerce Commission. So these are the ones who regulate commerce. The Interstate Commerce Commission with respect to any common carrier subject to those acts. Are we talking about like a carrier like, I don't know, Verizon or something? Is that what we're talking about here? What's a common carrier? What are they talking about exactly? All right, 5. The Federal Aviation Act of 1958. By the Civil Aeronautics Board with respect to any air carrier or foreign air carrier subject to that act. I wonder if the Civil Aeronautics Board, being that it deals with air carriers or foreign air carriers subject to that act of the Federal Aviation Act of 1958, I wonder if they're the ones, that board, that we can talk to about chemtrails. That, or let me see, what was that, Title 15.9A? I think it said something about the Secretary of Commerce. We need to write to them. So 6, the Packers and Stockyards Act, 1921. Whoa. Except as provided in Section 406 of that act by the Secretary of Agriculture with respect to any activities subject to that act. B, for the purpose of the exercise by any agency referred to in subsection A of its powers under any act referred to in that subsection, a violation of any requirement imposed under this title shall be deemed to be a violation of a requirement imposed under that act, in addition to its powers under any provision of law specifically referred to in subsection A. Each of the agencies referred to in that subsection may exercise, for the purpose of enforcing compliance with any requirement imposed under this title, any other authority conferred on it by law. So all those ones that were in this administrative enforcement, I think that they're telling us right there who's the head of the boards of all these different ones here. That's what it's saying right here, that they need to be in compliance. Now, I see the word except. Except to the extent that enforcement of the requirements imposed under this title is specifically committed to some other government agency under subsection A, the Federal Trade Commission shall enforce such requirements. That's the FTC. So some people have put in complaints to the FTC, and by the time you're done making the complaint, they say, thank you so much for reporting this to us. We're not exactly going to get back to you, and we're not really going to help you either, but thanks for reporting it. Pfft, I'm just saying. I've done this a couple of times. So let me see. For the purpose of the exercise by the Federal Trade Commission of its functions and powers under the Federal Trade Commission Act, a violation of any requirement imposed under this title shall be deemed a violation of a requirement imposed under that act. Okay, that's good. All of the functions and powers of the Federal Trade Commission under the Federal Trade Commission Act are available to the Commission to enforce compliance by any person with the requirements imposed under this title, irrespective of whether that person is engaged in commerce or meets any other jurisdictional tests in the Federal Trade Commission Act. What do you guys think this little clause means? That all the functions and powers of the FTC under the FTC Act are available to the Commission to enforce compliance by any person with the requirements imposed under this title, irrespective of whether that person is engaged in commerce or meets any other jurisdictional tests in the Federal Trade Commission Act. Wonder what that means. I don't exactly know. If you know the answers, put them in the comment section for all the people. And while you're at it, I would love it if you would subscribe and like and share, as well as give some good comments so that we can help each other. And I'm reading slowly on purpose. Number one, because I'm trying to comprehend what I'm reading. I don't want to make any mistakes, so I'm not rushing through this. And I want everyone to be able to comprehend what I'm reading, and I'm doing it slowly because it is very wordy. It's got big words in there, but it has good information that we need to know. So D, the authority of the board to issue regulations under this title does not impair the authority of any other agency designated in this section to make rules respecting its own procedures. In enforcing compliance with requirements imposed under this title. You know why I said right? Well, have you guys heard of the Chevron deference case that got overturned last year in 2024? They overturned it because organizations and companies were making their own rules and they were violating the people's rights, constitutional rights. So when I saw this right here that it says the authority of the board to issue regulations under this title does not impair the authority of any other agency designated in this section to make rules respecting its own procedures in enforcing compliance with requirements imposed under this title. So I was just wondering if that had anything to do with, like the DMV making up these rules. Now they got a new one about old people. If you want to have a discount on your insurance, that you can do some type of a test online, like a kind of like taking a driver's test, like when you're getting your driver's license. And if you pass it, then you can get discounts. I guess that's some type of a program, which they're using your social security number and trying to get those old people, myself included, because I think you have to be 55 and up to be able to get that particular discount. Anyways, me and my mom did do it because we both have a driver's license, but my person isn't using that because we're not doing an Uber thing right at this moment, but I just have it there just in case, they might ask me somewhere like the airport. Let me see a government issued ID, other than the passport, of course. Just saying, just saying. But, just because we get that for our person doesn't mean that's us, and it doesn't mean we're using it as for hire. All right, moving along, 109, views of other agencies. In the exercise of its functions under this title, the board may obtain upon request the views of any other federal agency, which in the judgment of the board exercises regulatory or supervisory functions with respect to any class of creditors subject to this title. All right, cool. I'm thinking I'm getting this. Okay, here's advisory committee. This is long, you guys. Ooh, but I gotta get down here. I gotta get down here. I gotta get down here to at least 112. All right, advisory committee here. Look at that. The board shall establish an advisory committee to advise and consult with it in the exercise of its functions under this title. In appointing the members of the committee, the board shall seek to achieve a fair representation of the interests of sellers of merchandise on credit, lenders, and the public. Did you see the word fair? A fair representation of the interests of sellers of merchandise on credit, lenders, and the public. The committee shall meet from time to time at the call of the board, and members thereof shall be paid. Hey, they're getting paid, those people, to meet. Transportation expenses and not to exceed $100 per diem. Or is that a peso sign? It's only got one line. It's a peso. So they're only supposed to be getting a peso, 100 pesos, which how much would that be? $1? I don't know. I'm just saying, give me $1. All right, 111, effect on other laws. Because that's a peso sign. One little line on the S, that's peso. That's not two lines. That's not dollars. This is 100 pesos per diem. I'm just saying. 111, effect on other laws. This title does not annul, alter, or affect or exempt any creditor from complying with the laws of any state relating to the disclosure of information in connection with credit transactions, except to the extent that those laws are inconsistent with the provisions of this title or regulations thereunder, and then only to the extent of the inconsistency. Hey, you know that inconsistency helps when it comes to those 3 credit agencies, which are not bureaus, by the way. That's how you can get them off of your credit report. B, this title does not otherwise annul, alter, or affect in any manner the meaning, scope, or applicability of the laws of any state. Okay, well, I mean, that sounds good. That state word right there. Sounds like it's the states of the unions. I don't know, is it? Any state? Kind of looks like that way. Okay, so including, but not limited to laws relating to the types, amounts, or rates of charges, or any element or elements of charges permissible under such laws in connection with the extension or use of credit, nor does this title extend the applicability of those laws to any class of persons. Hey, you know, when they talk about class of persons, like, I'm wondering if that has anything to do with credit score. You know what I'm saying? Like if your credit score is like below 500 or something. I'm just saying right here. Because it says that this title does not otherwise annul, alter, or affect in any manner the meaning, scope, or applicability of the laws of any state, including but not limited to laws relating to the types, amounts, or rates of charges, or any element or elements of charges permissible under such laws in connection with the extension or use of credit, nor does this title extend the applicability of those laws to any class of persons or transactions to which they would not otherwise apply. I'm just wondering. Like, why would it not otherwise apply? Like your score is like 400, so I don't think we can give you any credit. So just saying, I'm wondering if it's got to do with something like that. Because it's talking about this title. This title, what is it? The Truth in Lending? It's supposed to be equal, right? For all the people, to any class of persons or transactions to which they would not otherwise apply. That credit score thing, yeah, you're not going to be able to get that Mercedes-Benz with that credit score like that. But this title doesn't otherwise annul or alter or affect any manner of the meaning. Like this is about truth in lending. You need to be given the truth in lending. So I'm thinking I like this B one, the effect on other laws. C, in any action, is that like a court action? Yeah, I think so. Or proceeding in any court involving a consumer credit sale. Ooh. The disclosure of the annual percentage rate as required under this title in connection with that sale may not be received as evidence that the sale was a loan or any type of transaction other than a credit sale. What? In any action or proceeding in any court involving a consumer credit sale, the disclosure of the annual percentage rate as required under this title in connection with that sale may not be received as evidence that the sale was a loan or any type of transaction other than a credit sale. That's very interesting. All right, hang on a second. Karma, do you need to go out? Oh boy, my dog farted and I can't deal. Can't read and smell dog fart at the same time, so she had to go out. I hope my mom's gonna let her outside. Because I want to get to this good part right here. D, except as specified in sections 125 and 130, this title and the regulations issued thereunder do not affect the validity or enforceability of any contract or obligation under state or federal law. Okay, so I got to understand this, except as specified in sections 125 and 30, which are on the other page down. Ooh, hey, that right of rescission. Yo, baby, that's a good one. Okay, so except as specified in sections 125, which is over here. See over here? Right of rescissions and to ascertain and to certain transactions. Okay. This title of the TILA, Truth in Lending Act, and the regulations issued thereunder, do not affect the validity or enforceability of any contract or obligation under state or federal law, except for when you rescind. Okay. So I might have to read all the way to 130, but let me see. I got to read this one right here. 112, criminal liability for willful and knowing violation. This one right here. Oh my gosh, I got to highlight this one because this is the one. I'm just saying, I'm going to have to do Shift, Command, and 4 because this is good. Just saying. You want to do all this right here. Boom. Gonna save that puppy because I'm just saying. This is a good one. Whoever willfully and knowingly gives false or inaccurate information or fails to provide information which he is required to disclose under the provisions of this title, Truth in Lending, or any regulation issued thereunder, uses any chart, or table authorized by the board under section 107, which I'm going to have to go back and look at that, in such a manner as to consistently understate the annual percentage rate determined under sections 107A, 1A, or otherwise fails to comply with any requirement imposed under this title, shall be fined not more than 5,000 or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both. Whoa. Yoza. Like I can totally see if you're at the car dealership and they're giving false and inaccurate information. Like they would be like, okay, well, we looked on your credit score and we looked on, I don't know, the lowest ones. We didn't look at the high one. We went on the low one. Then we put the highest amount of car. And we're sorry, but we can't help you. Okay, well, how about if you lower down the price of the car or get a different car that's cheaper and give me the higher credit from the higher one? Eh, just saying, because whoa, right here, this is a criminal liability for willful and knowing violation. Whoever gives false or inaccurate information or fails to provide information which he is required to disclose under the provisions of this title or any regulation issued thereunder, whoa, uses any chart or table authorized by the board under section 107. Excuse me. I think I'm going to have to look at section 107 for a second. Let me go back. Oh, the determination of the annual percentage rate. Extension of credit. Open-ended credit plan. The total finance charge for the period to which it relates divided by the amount upon which the finance charge of that period is based, multiplied by the number of such periods in a year. Dang. Where a creditor imposes the same finance charge for balances within a specific range. Did I read this? I did. The annual percentage rate shall be computed on the median balance with the range, except that if the board determines that a rate so computed would not be meaningful or would be materially misleading, the annual percentage rate shall be computed on such other basis as the board may by regulation require. Oh, and the annual percentage rate may be rounded to the nearest quarter. I don't think I read this page. Did I? I don't think so. Oh, no, I don't know. Maybe I didn't. I don't remember this. What is it? You want to come back in here? The annual percentage rate may be rounded to the nearest quarter of 1% for credit transactions payable in substantially equal installments when a creditor determines the total finance charge on the basis of a single add-on discount, periodic or other rate, and the rate is converted into an annual percentage rate under the procedures prescribed by the board. You can come back in, but I don't want you tooting in here because I have to read. I don't remember reading this. Oh, I'll have to go back over this. Okay, so D, the board may authorize the use of rate tables or charts, which may, oh, I don't think I did read this because I don't remember. The board may authorize the use of rate tables or charts, which may provide for the disclosure of annual percentage rates, which vary from the rate determined in accordance with subsection A1 and A. Oh, maybe I did read this. I don't know. By not more than such tolerance as the board may allow, the board may not allow a tolerance greater than 8% of that rate, except to simplify compliance where irregular payments are involved. In the case of creditors determining the annual percentage rate in a manner other than described in subsection C or D, the board may authorize other reasonable tolerances. Prior to January 1st, 1971, any rate required under this title to be disclosed as a percentage rate may, at the option of the creditor, be expressed in the form of the corresponding ratio of dollars per $100. I might have skipped this particular section because I don't remember reading it. Huh. Yeah, I don't remember reading this page. I might have skipped it. Okay, let me just go up here. The following items, when charged in connection with any extension of credit secured by an interest in real property, shall not be included in the computation of the finance charge with respect to that transaction. Fees or premiums for title examination. Yeah, I didn't read this. Title insurance. What? Or similar purposes. Whoa. Fees for preparation of a deed, settlement statement, or other documents, escrows for future payments of taxes and insurance. Fees for notarizing deeds and other documents, appraisal fees and credit reports. What's the matter, Karma? I'm going to go back one. Oh. Oh. I wonder. Did I read about this? Gosh, I'm going to have to watch this video. Oh, this is good. No, I don't think I read the regulations and determination of finance charge. No, because I've seen this before. Yo. I might be tired here. And plus my dog. Oh, I think I went from 104 to 108 and I skipped this stuff right here. Yo, this is important stuff. Karma, do you need to go up? All right, I might have to stop because my dog needs a break, and so do I. I'm going to stop. But you could take a picture of this page on the right, 106, determination of finance charge. Because I've seen this at the car dealership, when you have credit life, accident or health insurance written in connection with any consumer credit transaction shall be included in the finance charge unless the coverage of the debtor by the insurance is not a factor in the approval by the creditor of the extension of credit. Calm down. And this fact is clearly disclosed in writing to the person applying for and obtaining the extension of credit. This is in the car stuff. I've seen this. This is good. But I have to go because my dog needs to get out and I need a break. Okay. I hopefully will come back again sometime soon. But meanwhile, keep learning, everyone, and keep helping everyone, okay? I'm doing the best I can.